What's up? Okay, so this week's reading was on curbing social responsibility and the power of the informal economy. Um, we'll start off with curbing corporate social responsibility. I actually really thought this was an interesting article. It's something I would agree with prior to have reading this. Um, and although I know nothing about Australia, I still thought it was really interesting. So it kind of revolves around the idea of this thing called CSR, corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility. Well, they have CSR departments, and CSR departments are bodies concerning the roles of social sociality in modern corporations. Businesses must do more than profit making. They must consider the actions of people other than stockholders, which is kind of contrary to the classical idea of what a business is meant to do, which is make money, right? Basically, companies need to be involved in social movements and not just in making money, which this article is against. CSR kind of started as a response to corporate scandals, so it was more of like a public relations thing, and just a way for companies to kind of, sweep it under the rug and make it up by giving a donation to some kind of charity or something like that. But now it has kind of become a core business feature, regardless of whether there's a scandal going on or not. CSR can make sense. Managers should definitely exercise commercial judgment, right? But there's not enough discussion of the downsides. Creation of people and culture divisions within HR that support and promote diversity. So, the ultimate goal of CSR at its heart is to turn businesses into activists. This would be a breach of Australia's Corporations Act. However, the author does make the claim that this is kind of a counterproductive argument, as it would cause a repeal of the cause a call for the repeal of the Corporations Act, which would not be good. CSR should not be mandatory, as some people want it to be, as it has harmful consequences on corporate government, which is like on their own. Those are really two like weird and scary words. Combined, they're even worse, right? CSR threatens to politicize companies, which is terrifying. When I hear that, I think of Brave New World, and 1984. I really get dystopian vibes from that. I mean, not that corporations don't already have a pretty heavy say in politics, but for them to be that directly involved openly, I don't know, it's just kind of scary, the implications of that, right? Yeah, it is to me. So right now, individuals can really easily pressure corporations due to social media. And a great example of this will be the whole Walmart thing that just happened recently, where Walmart stopped selling certain types of ammunitions for rifles, I think, because like 4 people were calling them out on it. And because they were doing it, they can make the issue seem a lot bigger than it really is. And to save face and to save, a couple $100 million probably from people stopping shopping there, they decided to take those ammunitions out. And it was it was a direct cause. And it kind of reminded me of almost like a crony capitalism type thing, which is also scary. Where was I? The author in this article claims that companies should serve the community as a whole, and should not be politicized if possible at all. Obviously, it'd be kind of hard for someone like a gun manufacturer not to be politicized, because obviously, it'd be kind of hard for that company, or other companies that are just kind of inherently politically one-sided. But the majority of companies should not delve into politics, is what the author claims. Um, the author also proposes an alternative, which is CPP, Community Pluralism Principle. The main priority of the shareholder and stockholder is to the shareholder and stockholder. Political issues can be approached when it's peripheral and remains open to the views of employees, customers, and shareholders and stockholders across the communities. The author has proposed this idea to several people, and it has kind of gotten mixed feedback. He's unclear whether or not CPP is a desired thing. He stated that opponents of progressivism often face repercussions for that in that kind of field, which is ridiculous. CPP respects political diversity, which is the most important kind of diversity, the diversity of thought, right? God, this is already 6 minutes long. Okay, I'll kind of breeze through the power of the informal economy. So the TED Talk started off with the story of Lagos' economy and the different things people do to make a living. Honestly, I'd kind of like to see something like that. I've never really been in that kind of experience. I wouldn't necessarily want to live there. Obviously, I'm pretty privileged here, and I like it a lot. But it'd be cool to see it. So the informal economy is not the black market, as most people think. It's more of an open market. The author calls it System D, which I think I'll be referring to it from here on as System D. So he makes the claim that the government hates System D, and that 2/3 of people who work in the world actually work in this informal economy, System D. Big businesses have actually started catching on to this. Gauloises sausage is actually sold by street hawkers and not in stores in certain parts of the world. And various large companies do similar things to that, where they sell their things on the informal economy, which is crazy. Many companies are actually pirated, right? High-end companies like Gucci and Balenciaga and companies like those are pirated, but they really don't mind because they weren't going to get those customers in the first place, right? And it's kind of like a pH test for them, right? If the amount of black market goods with their pirated name on it goes down, that means that brand recognition for that company is going down on a whole as well. System D does not really pay taxes all that much, but if we're being completely honest, neither do major corporations. Everyone kind of can find a way around it once you're at that level of profit making. Lessons from the informal economy. 84% of India's employment is informal, which is nuts. Informal business needs local communities. They're very codependent on each other. Undocumented immigrants work everywhere in the informal economy. That example of Alabama was actually really eye-opening for me. They needed the informal economy, 100%. They couldn't live without it. They had harsher immigration. People moved out. They lost most of their workers in construction and all that, and they just had to repeal it. Otherwise, nothing would get done. People in Yemen sell gas in times of need on the side of the street at quite a hefty price, but your only alternative is getting less gas and waiting longer in line, sometimes days. Airbnb was also an example of the informal economy because the government really doesn't know how to tax it, which is interesting. I've used an Airbnb before, and I didn't think a bit about how this is going to be taxed, but that's a really interesting idea. Once again, it's not the black market, it's just low attention and local markets. And she ends with 2 questions. Who makes the rules and who are the rules made for? And obviously not for the informal economy. Anyway, these were cool little lessons. I'm not a huge economics guy, so the latter 2 weren't super interesting to me. I still thought they were, a cool perspective on everything. Curbing corporate social responsibility, I liked. It was neat. See you next time.